bring in Majib Zoueri, who is the Professor of Contemporary Middle Eastern Politics at Qatar University. He joins us live from Doha. Majib, can you just give us your take on exactly where we stand in terms of the diplomacy? We hear Aragchi there calling out the EU, the E3, the United States and Israel for their parts in all of this, very much framing Iran as the victim. In terms of the diplomacy, how does it take things forwards in terms of next steps? What are its options here, diplomatically speaking, rather than militarily?
I don't think so. Diplomacy has any space at the moment. The American attack to the three Iranian facilities, nuclear facilities, have increased the escalation and pushed the war, the Israeli war on Iran, to the second chapter, I call it, which basically regionalizing the war. Basically, we are moving to that direction. The Iranian side, of course, will present themselves as a victim of this war and a victim of these attacks, despite the fact that they were aware that the attack is coming, and American told them, and they admit that the American told them that attack is coming. Iranian see no justification for this attack on their facilities, and all of this demonization happened to them in recent months, happened because of Benjamin Netanyahu, and this will not bring basically their aspiration down to have a peaceful nuclear program, and also will not bring peace to Israel. And that is the message actually they try to send since the attack started in the early morning.
Majib, in terms of the domestic situation now in Iran, how much pressure is the government going to be under to respond militarily to this? And in what format do you think would most reassure the Iranians that the government is looking out for their security?
If you look to what happened early morning, this is the same scenario that the Israelis did on June 13, where basically they attacked and they have done a severe damage to the image of the regime and the security of the country. And the Iranian came back after 17 hours. Sorry. And that itself could be repeated. I think they are looking at what happened. That is basically an aggressive action, and people are mobilized behind the regime. Of course, there will be an internal debate, how this happened and where our security and where our Revolutionary Guard. There will be debate like in other countries, but so far my assessment. The regime is solid. The military base of the regime is solid. The connectivity between the regime dots are still solid. And even the social fabric pushes, there's a huge, basically, differences in terms of cultural and ethnicity. But still, they believe that what happened was wrong and were against their country. We have to look at next 10 to 15 hours how the Iranian will respond to the attack on their facilities. Let's be clear on this. The attack on Israel this morning, I don't see it as part of their response to the attack on their three facilities done by the Americans. This is a different story. I think they will try to create a scenario where they responded to that attack on their nuclear facilities and send a message to the Americans and to the Israelis together. And we have to look at it where it will be. My hunch that it will be on Israel. There will be more sophisticated, I would say, response to Israeli targets, but with more, I would say, ballistic missiles, with more sophisticated ballistic missiles, maybe number more, the timing and I assume something like this should happen, so the regime can basically gain its own image and reputation.
Mujib, in terms of the regional politics of this, we see Qatar urging an immediate halt to all military operations, a return to dialogue and diplomacy. We've seen a warning from the Saudis about the potential for escalation here. Bahrain, as we have mentioned, is concerned about the impact on its own work and is also urging restraint in response. How does all of this, given that the United States has its own key allies in these areas, impact the broader regional politics?
Unfortunately, the United States have basically bought and accepted the Israeli narrative, and we are, I would say, we should be worried about that kind of approach that the Trump administration is following now. They are not listening to the voices of people in the region. We know that there was an attempt by President Erdogan with Trump, as we told, but the decision of attacking the facility was there. So I think we need the voices from the region. Made it very clear to the Americans that any kind of more escalation, we are an escalation, more escalation will impact the security of the region and the stability, the countries of the region, which the Americans should be worried if this happened, and their interests will be in danger. I think the message should be strong, should be repeated, and they should control Netanyahu rather than support him.
And in terms of, as you say, military capacity, we know that the Israeli strikes have repeatedly targeted a lot of the missile strikes, the missile sites that the Iranians have had. In terms of their capacity to retaliate to this particular strike, and in terms of what we can expect going forwards, what do we know about that situation? What do we know about how Iran might conduct those military operations were they to happen?
Well, we know three things. One, we know that the very advanced ballistic missiles. We know about the drones, very sophisticated drones, and we know about the what's so-called the small boats, which is similar to drone control from far. We know three weapons Iran have announced years ago that if its nuclear facility attacked, they will be used. So those basically means that all targets of Israel, all I would say, all strategic and security targets can be included, including the Mona, and also all ships on the Hormuz can be also included. And I assume other military bases in the Indian Ocean or Arab Sea could be also targeted, in addition to Bab el-Mandeb. Of course, other Houthi already announced that maybe it's likely that Bab el-Mandeb will be also shut down. That basically entered the world, not only America, entered the world in a phase of uncertainty, which could affect the governments, the stability of the governments, the stability of the people. I would say all of what has been, I would say, what would be needed to the people life could be threatened, including food, water, everything. So we enter in a very uncertain phase, unfortunately, and no one can predict if we have any firemen on what I mean diplomacy can cool down the situation.